The EP Podcast. Heard everywhere podcasts can be found, and always at theeppodcast.com.
And welcome into the EP Podcast. My name is Chris Lanuti, and the next 30 minutes or so, we've got a lot going on around Evergreen Park. I also have kind of a really cool announcement that I want to make, an idea that I have, and I brought a friend of mine in who's been on this show several times, especially over the last 8-9 months, has her own podcast on the Broadcast Basement On Demand Radio Network, and that is Colleen Klimczak. How are you, Colleen?
I am great. Thanks so much for having me back.
I have a great story for you later in the show.
Okay.
About a trip down to the University of Illinois. My daughter got registered for classes. I find parents to be funny, ridiculous animals in some ways. Because to me, I see college very differently than I think a lot of other parents do. Like, I'm like, hey, good luck. Because nobody really helped me, right? Like, my parents, I was a transfer student, first of all. I spent the first year at UIC. And when I got down to U of I, there was just a book I was handed. And I think this is like this for most people in college. Here's a book of the classes. This is a list of what you need if you want the degree you're trying to get. Good luck. And you figured it out.
We had to.
It's not that way anymore.
It is not that way anymore.
No, so I want to talk to you a little bit about that. And since you're a professional organizer, get a couple of tips from you for anybody that might be moving their kid down to college or is doing any kind of move. So we'll talk about that. But the thing I wanted to get into first today on the show, before Glenn Pniewski comes in and rattles off a ton of stuff going on over the next month or so in the Village. And Glenn and you and I and everything on this show brought to you by the First National Bank of Evergreen Park. They love this area as much as you do. That's why they have a total access checking account that gives you free ATMs nationwide. Wherever you go, whatever the fee, they put it back in. Plus a $300 bonus with qualifying activities. They have great mobile banking, online tools, award-winning customer service. They got a junior savers account for the kids. They got accounts set up like the one my daughter has when she goes down there. It's going to allow me to send money to her instantly. They are your community bank. I want you to stop in and see them in person in that iconic building at the corner of 95th and Pulaski, the First National Bank of Evergreen Park, member FDIC. I had this moment last week where I was telling my son Dominic, the 16-year-old, about the different shows. Sometimes I sit around with the kids and I go, oh, this is what's going on the podcast.
Nice.
I need somebody to bounce stuff off of.
Sure.
So I bounce it off my teenagers.
Yes.
And he said, you know what you're missing on that show, Dad? Talking about the EP podcast. You need somebody else that is a regular, like a co-host or something like that.
Okay.
So I don't know how I'm doing it yet. Okay. And I don't know if anybody in the world would be interested in it. But I want those out there listening right now to think to themselves, would I like to be on the EP podcast?
Oh, fun.
Because I'm going to launch very soon an official contest, a search for a new co-host here on the show. And you're welcome to put in, Colleen. I don't want people to think because you've been on the show before that you've got an inside track or anything. But I'm going to do this because, look, 9 months ago, a lot changed around here.
Sure did.
Suddenly, I was a single parent raising 3 kids on my own. My co-host was part of the deal where everything walked out the door as well.
Yes.
And I had to figure out how do I circle the wagons, make sure the business was robust, make sure that I was able to support the kids, keep them in the schools that they were in, feed them and clothe them and keep it warm inside the house, grow the business. And I've had so many people that have supported and helped over the last 9 months. And now I finally feel like I'm in a really good place.
Awesome.
And now I'm looking at the show going, okay, what does it need? And I think it needs another voice.
Nice. Well,
do you listen to the show? I know your husband's a big fan.
I do listen.
I know. And I'm curious, if you thought that, he needs another voice in there. Because on one hand, it's easy for me to do the interviews when it's just me. It is. When it's just me talking to somebody, that's easy. On the other hand, I wonder if people listening to the show sometimes say, it's a little too much Chris. Because I feel that way sometimes.
It is your podcast.
I know, but
it's okay.
A little too much Chris on the EP podcast.
Okay.
Right.
Oh, that's funny.
So that's why I'm wondering.
Okay.
Does this make sense to you? Because that was his thing. He's like, you need another voice on there.
Okay.
And that might be because he's tired of listening to me because he's with me all the time.
I ask my children about content, my grown children as well. So yeah, it's they view things a little differently. And unfortunately for me, my podcast is all me. So I think the fact that you have people on and you interview them, it's always such a nice rapport. I think it's fun to like listen to the back and forth, especially because I've been down here and I know how it all goes.
So you're like, if I don't find the perfect candidate, stay yourself. Don't force anybody in there is what you're telling
yes
me.
and yes.
Okay, so like I'm
But
open
I'm also
to it.
happy to, jump in. So yeah, as soon as you ask that, I'm like, but you've already got such a great opportunity to interview people. I know people come down. I listen to you and Frank Murray and I'm like cracking up because I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like I should be down there just... What did we say? There was the pop-up video when I was commenting?
Yeah, exactly. And now we're starting to use some video.
Yeah,
and if there was video of us right now, you would see us sweating because the air conditioner's out.
It is a little warm. Okay, it's a lot warm.
Colleen walked up. She's like, I saw a fan in the front window, and I said, uh-oh.
And it's 91 degrees, everybody, outside.
The basement's the coolest
Getting
thing.
hotter this week,
I promise
too.
that if you are interested in being a part of the EP podcast, the air conditioning will be fixed. I promise that. Just not today. But like, I mean, I think that's the thing. Like for these moments when I have an idea.
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
When I want to bounce something off of somebody. Sometimes I feel like when I do it to a guest, they look at me like I have three heads. Like Sean Caston was just in here, right?
Yes.
And I was like, well, I got to kind of stick to things the congressman wants to talk about. I can't talk about what happened to me last week with the kids with him. He might look at me like, why am I down here? I'm not your co-host.
This was
I'm
not
your guest.
on the agenda.
Right.
Okay.
So those little things.
Sure.
That's why I'm thinking it might be something I want.
Okay.
Plus another perspective. I am just one person.
Yeah,
Sometimes
definitely.
I see things differently from other people. And I always get, that's the number one complaint. The number one complaint I get is you should have asked this. Or, or somebody disagreeing with a point that I make. And it's okay to disagree.
Of course.
I don't think the same as everybody else. They don't think the same as me.
Right.
But maybe that other voice covers that. You know what I'm saying? So
Interesting.
that's what I'm wondering. And I don't even have like in my mind like it has to be a female co-host. I don't have it in my mind that like I have no preconceived notions of who it would be.
Yeah.
And if it would work. But it harkens me back
interesting.
to the day of like MTV Total Request Live when they basically said, let's see if we can find a new VJ.
Right. Okay.
And that's what I'm thinking of doing.
I think it's very cool. Like I said, I have not noticed the deficit because you're always interviewing other people.
Okay.
So, and I like that. I like to listen to it. And I listen to you, but you also know that I often, like I had 2 episodes to catch up on, so I listened to it in halftime.
Yeah, you listen to me faster.
So
I talk like Mickey Mouse.
you do. So I do listen, but occasionally I compress it and
Right.
So it always sounds like you're alarmed.
She's like, you know what? I don't even hear you on the show. I hear some high-pitched person just talking way too fast.
You're
That's what
always
you hear.
alarmed.
Yeah,
Don't. So for anybody listening, do not. But it's a time management thing for me. I want to listen.
Alarmed.
But you
I
always
love that.
sound really anxious.
I love that. Building relationships, supporting the community, and service. These are the things that Country Financial stands for. They're more than just an office you may pass by as you drive through Evergreen Park. They're neighbors who lend a helping hand and support the fabric of your community, including charitable organizations, sports, financial education, and civic organizations. And since Country is already your neighbor, they want to get together and chat. Call your local Country Financial representative, Mike Thauer, today at 708-425-1559 to talk about the things that are important to you and how he can help you protect them. Glenn Pniewski joining us down here on the EP podcast. How are you, buddy?
I am fine. Let me just stop here and say, you look fabulous. I haven't
you.
seen you in 6-7 months maybe, because I think the last time I was on the show it was through the phone.
Yeah.
You look 10 years younger.
I need
to say
get,
that right.
I need you as my publicist, and I need somebody who can take a good picture, because right now I jumped on last week for the first time ever on the dating apps. I don't think I got good pictures of myself. I need more pictures of Chris when he's this thin and looks young. So I love the fact you said that.
Oh, no.
I love it. And to hear you say that, you've melted my heart. I'm giving you plenty of time here on the EP podcast to tell me what's going on in the village. If people don't know what Glenn Pniewski does, he does a ton of stuff. You got the theater thing that you do for the village. You're over in the village hall. You're kind of like a jack of all trades, and you generally bring me things from multiple departments that are going on in Evergreen Park. So I like checking in with you so that I can get a good view of programs happening this summer. And some of the programs are things that you're registering for now that actually start in the fall, like preschool, right?
Exactly. In fact, you mentioned that. I got the whole cheat sheet here. Yeah, the recreation department. Well, obviously, their big thing right now, what's coming up in a couple of weeks? The parade, which I know you're going to be in.
I'm going to be in it. I'm going to be in it with the First National Bank of Evergreen Park. They have like an old fire truck, and they told me that while they'll be handing out stuff, and I can ride in the fire truck and possibly get to use the speaker to talk to the crowd. So this will be the first time the EP podcast will actually be part of the parade. Normally we have a spot that we're set up.
Right.
This year, part of the parade. So everybody will get to see us come by. So wave, there'll be candy, there'll be fun, it'll be great.
Will you still be broadcasting?
I don't think I'm going to record people throughout.
Okay.
And so we're going to have a broadcast where you're going to get to hear us covering the parade. I remember last year I was in a set spot and I videoed the set spot, and then I did like some interviews in the middle of it. And I kind of like that, but this year I want to be a part of it.
There you go.
So it's still kind of forming in my brain. Like I'll probably take some video, we'll probably do some interviews, we might do some ahead of time, and we're going to put together a whole package for people to watch and listen to after the parade is over.
Well, and hopefully let's hope for another like a nice, clear 80-degree day.
Beautiful day and a lot of fireworks afterwards.
Our videographer, he'll be out there, so he'll be recording it, and then he will have like a 35, 40-minute condensation of the parade available that we will have on the website like a few days later, definitely in time for the 4th.
Glenn, I'm going to put it out here right now, okay? I'm putting it out there right now. I do not have a post party yet for the parade, all right? So just let me know. I'm going to show up at your house. I'll bring some beer, but if anybody has a post party for the parade, and they want the EP podcast guy to come along, I'm coming.
I like that.
Just reach out to me through the EP podcast.
Well, and they again,
I'm going party hopping. I want to bounce around Duffy Park after the parade while the fireworks are going on. Party hopping. All right, so that's one of my plans.
And that's the other thing too. Okay, so the rec, they're looking to get some more entries, make it the greatest parade ever, of course, and then fireworks follow at Duffy Park at dusk. Now, what's really funny is every year when I was at the Village Hall, I'm at the community center now, but I mean, you get the calls. What time do the fireworks start? Dusk. Long pause. What time is dusk?
When the sun goes down.
Like 9:15, 9:30. And then somebody once called and said, well, why so late? And we're like, well, we once tried shooting the fireworks off at 2:30 in the afternoon, but it really didn't go over
right,
as well.
Exactly.
So
it's always so funny how people sometimes act.
So
yes.
if you're, be at Duffy Park by 9 o'clock.
Yeah, show up. As it starts to get dark, you should find a seat. And when it gets dark, there'll be fireworks.
Exactly.
That's how it works.
They will.
If somehow the Earth stops rotating, the fireworks will be delayed. Just a warning. The village does not control that.
Exactly right. And again, let's hope we've had generally great weather, the last some odd years.
Stop jinxing it, man. That's the third time you said weather. It's going to pour if you keep saying it. Stop saying it.
After coordinating so many outdoor events over the years, I'm just naturally paranoid. But yeah, call the rec department. They'd love to have you. Families in the parade, a business, a community organization. Let's make it the biggest parade ever.
Should be a lot of fun.
Right. And you mentioned preschool. Yes. You realize that Evergreen Park Recreation Department preschool is like 40 years old or more. And I mean, there are people who went through that preschool program as kids, and now they're bringing their kids, through that preschool. So they have a lot of openings, for there's 2-day, 3-day, 5-day options available for kids 3 and 4. A few weeks ago, they just had the 4-year-olds just had their little graduation ceremony. It was the cutest thing. So, and the teachers over there do such a great job. So, get
how long does registration last for?
It through the
all
summer.
summer.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Right. So, but
you got a cost on that? No,
it is on the website.
It's on the website.
So yeah, right. I don't want to throw numbers at you.
No, that's fine.
Hey, next summer concert, Sunday, June 23rd, 6 p.m. at Circle Park. Cokes and Folks, acoustic. They do a lot of pop stuff. So they're really enjoyable. Again, hoping for the weather. Knock on wood. They also have some openings on that youth soccer camp, which begins July 8th for kids.
I see all this stuff because now they've got yard signs all over the village.
Right.
That's a new thing. I believe Carol Kyle, one of our trustees, is coming on in a very near future episode. And that's one of the things I'm going to ask her about because I noticed that there seems to be an initiative now with the village. Like, hey, there's QR codes on these signs and they're all over the place, like Shop Evergreen Park, sign up for kindergarten, all these different things you're talking about. That soccer camp. I was walking the dog the other day and I walked by a sign that said, scan this here. and sign your kid up for the soccer camp. I love the idea. It's definitely a new one, though, this year.
Well, and we've definitely it made it easier for people to register online, or as you say, scanning a QR code. So, but on the other hand, don't get the wrong impression. You can still come into that community center and see Josie or Jill or Kelly, who will be happy to see you. So
and you can do it the old-fashioned way.
Absolutely.
You are not required to figure out QR codes and
there's
register
nothing like
online.
The face-to-face.
Right.
Exactly
okay.
right.
That's good to hear.
Now, on the other end of the building, we've got the Office of Citizen Services. Beth does a fantastic job over there. Of course, she coordinates the farmers market, which is every Thursday from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Yukich. And it's really interesting about that because they open in May. And the theme of it is you're all things spring, because we need to put it out there that you're not going to go there on May 4th or May 10th and find apples and oranges and tomatoes and cucumbers. That stuff hasn't grown yet,
right.
So you'll see that in June, July, so she has a great variety of, and now that now that summer's here, we're getting consistently better weather.
Seriously, if you're listening to this podcast, every time you hear a knock, he knocks on my bar. He knocks on wood every time he says something about the weather. That's
I'm waiting for Groucho Marx's bird to come out. That's the magic word. And
it's the funniest thing.
And if you're under 30, you know what that means. Then my proud to you. Anyway, they have a one-day trip coming up in September. They do a series of trips all summer, and most of them have sold out. The one in September coming up that's still open is a trip to this Wandering Trees estate out in Barrington, which is this mansion which apparently has this incredibly huge, beautiful garden. They got a railway. I think they've got model trains going through there. Model trains. Okay, it's supposed to be exceptional. And then they go to a nice restaurant for lunch. It's a good getaway. These the trips are designed for seniors in mind, but anybody can go. So I get worried about that. They design.
I go, if I show up and this is a big generation gap between me and all the other people on the bus, I might feel a little out of place. Do you get people that are non-seniors that go on these trips?
Oh, absolutely.
You do?
Oh, gosh.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Like I say, they design it so there's not a lot of walking involved, but there's these, they have the one that's sold out is a trip on the Chicago Architectural Cruise.
That's a great tour.
Yeah, that one sold out real quick.
Yeah.
Their multi-day trip to Niagara Falls sold out really quick. So they just went last week to the Broken Wagon Bison Ranch out in Hobart, Indiana.
I swear I drove by and saw them loading up the bus, and I was like, there must be a trip that they're doing. Yeah.
They came back saying that was just a wonderful trip, so... we work with a travel agent, but Beth picks out the good ones. She just knows what our seniors
I'm in
would
for
like.
Maui. When we go to Maui for a getaway,
I think the mayor said no more out of the country. No. They're also pushing it's not too early to sign up for that Memories to Go big garage sale, which takes place on Saturday, September the 7th. That benefits the Evergreen Park Senior Council. Spaces available inside the ice rink for $50 or in the parking lot for $35.
You're already getting ready for that? That's in September.
Hey, this is people getting the word out. But yeah, we've already got a few people that
are ready to sell stuff.
They want those prime spaces, so they're back. Back as early. I'll be there probably. So
you sell stuff up there?
I think I have.
What's your big seller when you're in that?
Well, I do nostalgia stuff. I have like 47 typewriters.
You do,
and sometimes I put a couple of them for
46 too many.
Maybe. Although all the stuff I write, the first draft is on a typewriter, I have to admit. And I'm not stupid. Then when I do finished project, it all goes into Microsoft Word or something.
Right, which is hysterical that you have 47 typewriters and you're still I got to finish it off on Microsoft Word.
I got a huge LP collection. I have far too many books. I collect a lot of books. It's one of these things where it's not that I will read them all, but it's knowing that I can.
Is the Memories to Go thing, since you're already talking about and you said that people are already signing up for something that's happening in September, is it more vendors that do collectibles and then sell them and this is what they do? Or is it more people who actually are having a garage sale and deciding to have it there, so they gather up all their stuff and they're like one-time use, or every other year they get up there and kind of clean out their houses?
Some of each.
Okay.
You will have the people that, and like a friend of mine gets it literally clean out the garage. But then there's also people that bring, the lady I'm usually across from, she brings these beautiful paintings. I mean, there's a variety, old games, things like that. So, it's definitely worth it, and it's cost nothing for you to walk through the thing.
You have things spread out now pretty good amongst all the different centers. What centers, I mean, like if I think about it, you have the senior center, you have your community center, you have the Maplewell Center. They're all in a very concentrated area in the southwest quadrant. Right. Are there any things that are sitting in the other 3 quadrants that you guys use, or is everything basically centralized because it's easier to run it that way?
Centralized around the community center, although obviously you do go to, the kids do go to the high school pool.
Right.
So there are field trips
they
around
use that, and
like
then and then the barn, of course, over 50 acre gets used a lot.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
So, they're making use of those buildings. In fact, I have an article coming out on Patch. It may be out already now, being the 18th or 19th of June, whenever this hits. But there's going to be an article on Patch about the Maplewell Center and its history, how it started as Park Lane Church back in 1955.
Did you do a lot of renovations there?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's all been so it's not like you're walking into something that's an old building, like it's been renovated. It's ready to go.
They rehabbed the whole inside so that what had been the banquet hall of Jacob's Well, and Jacob's Well was only there for a short amount of time. It was Park Lane Church for 50 years. But that what used to be the sanctuary, which was then cleaned out, and it was a banquet hall for a few years. That is now like the gymnasium room, so we have a lot of, open gym over there, all the tot sports, basketball, t-ball, soccer, volleyball. Paisha Allen, she has her.
She was just on the show a couple weeks ago, yeah.
So it's getting used. So it went back to the Office of Citizen Services. They also have their daily events. We've got senior line dancing classes, Mondays at 11:45 a.m. People don't know we have a nice little library room over there at the community center. There's about 6 or 7 nice recliner chairs, a big 55-inch TV, and we run a movie program on there on Mondays and Tuesdays with showings at 10 a.m. and 1 p.m. both of those 2 days. And so it's a nice way for seniors to get out of the house, sit down, nice cool room, especially with the summer coming, and watch a big screen movie.
So are you going to be marching in the parade? Are you going to be on the sidelines? Where am I going to see a Glenn Pniewski?
I will be on the sidelines taking photos.
On the sidelines, taking photos.
I'm usually located around 95th at St. Louis, so I'll see you for sure.
I will be waving.
Glad to see you, period, because I tell you, I had back in January, I had a stroke, which actually gave me double vision for 4 months. So like it was the last few weeks are the first time I'm actually seeing straight.
Oh my goodness. First of all, I'm glad you're alive.
Oh my gosh.
Secondly, I'm glad you don't have to look at 2 of me.
Oh, I was seeing 2 of everybody. Plus I had a little numbness in my right hand and a little brain fog, but it's all past. So just the point in telling that story is I'm so happy to just be seeing everything clearly.
I'm happy to see you.
Yeah.
I didn't know, Glenn. I'm happy to see you.
That's why, yes. It's been a long time, since I've seen you, because people were seeing I had a little patch on the right lens of my glasses.
Lots happened in the last couple months. Lots going on.
Glad to be down here, and like I say, you look fantastic.
Thank you so much. You too, my friend. I'm glad you're upright and walking around, and you're only seeing one of me. And don't forget, that parade, we're going to be in it. Glenn's going to be standing off to the side taking pictures. It's June the 28th this year. Kicks off at 95th and Springfield at 6:30 p.m. The fireworks happen at dusk. That's when it's dark, because then you could see them better. We do not know the exact time of dusk, but I'm sure you can consult your local newspaper, your iPhone, the weatherman. There's lots of places where they tell you when dusk is going to be. Glenn Pniewski with The Village. Great stuff, Glenn. Appreciate all the information.
Thank you, sir.
Your EP podcast, Word on the Streets, brought to you by Spoke and Vine, the wine bar and bottle shop right here in Evergreen Park on the corner of 95th and Kedzie, northeast corner. I love the food. Like, I'm a wine guy, basically red wines. I like your Italians, your Spanish, not so much the Californians. In fact, it's kind of the same with people. I like my wine like I like my people. Meet new and interesting people in a 21 and over environment, have an adult night out, taste a bunch of wines, have some good food on the way out the door. If you like something a lot, buy it at the bottle shop. See more at SpokenVineWines.com. Glenn actually covered pretty much everything going on in Evergreen Park. He did miss something, though, that we heard about from Frank Murray at the library a couple of weeks ago. This Friday, June 21st, at the library, 6:30 p.m., Meathead's gonna be there. Craig Goldwyn runs the world's most popular barbecue and grilling websites. He's got 1 million monthly visitors, and he's gonna talk about his new cookbook, Meathead, The Science of Great Barbecue and Grilling. Seats are filling up fast, only a couple dozen left. Get to evergreenparklibrary.org to sign up. In fact, I'm gonna do it right now for myself as we continue the show, Colleen. So Audrey's going down to the University of Illinois. Yay. She's going to be in the architecture school. It's very exciting. She's smarter than her father. I went to U of I and I was like a gen ed. Didn't know what he wanted to be. Didn't even enter the College of Media until my junior year. Like my college experience was very different.
Sure.
She's going down there and they give such structure. Like we went down there and they invite the parents down, which first of all, I thought was stupid. Because I was like, what am I needed for?
It's so different.
And then I was really excited because I got down there and I looked at the schedule for the day. It's 9 o'clock in the morning. I'm sitting in a big room. There's all these parents and their kids. And I look at the schedule of the day. And by 10:30, she's off doing something and the parents go do something else.
Yes.
So now I start reading ahead and it takes me 5 minutes to realize that they basically have written the same topics in different ways at 3 different things that the parents are going to. Yep. And they have the parents going to the cafeteria on the exact opposite side of the school from where the kids are going.
Oh, they don't want to see you.
And I said, this whole thing is to separate helicopter parents from their kids.
It absolutely is.
It was set up like, come to the campus with your child. And I didn't even want to go. Like, I was like... You're an adult.
You'll be fine.
Register for your classes.
She'll be
Call
fine.
me if you have a problem.
She's smart.
Wait, I had to figure this out on my own.
Exactly.
I feel like I'm done. I'm a single dad with 3 kids. If one of them can handle something on their own, do it. That's how I feel. Go do it.
Go do
you
that.
think you're so smart because she's 18 years old and they all think they're the smartest at 18.
Smart.
How many kids do you have again?
I have 3 sons.
And all 3 of them have been 18 at some point, right?
Yes.
And at 18 years old, they thought they were the smartest thing on 2 legs.
They did.
Yes, they did. So I love her and she's smart, but like
humility is not around.
You hit
at 18.
Yes, you hit 18 years old and you've got it all figured out.
Isn't that lovely for them?
Yeah.
I mean,
they're
looking
wrong.
at it from perspective, they're wrong. But it is lovely to be that confident.
Right. So I'm like, you got to figure it out. Go do this.
See ya.
But instead, I'm on my way down there.
Yes,
right. So I get
I
say, okay, we're going to drive down early in the morning, 6 a.m. I brought Dominic with me. Because I'm like, you're 16. You should see the campus. I brought him with.
Oh, yeah.
Okay?
No, perfect.
Yeah. And sent the little guy over to his mother's house because there was no way that I was going to drag him around the campus that day.
Yep.
So then, so we go down there. I do the first thing and I'm standing there after the first thing and all the parents are being herded, right? They're all, when you watch something like that, you realize that the majority of people are just followers. Like anybody with an independent thought would have been able to look at the thing and said, this is all busy work to get me separated from my kid. Everything here is covered on the website and in all the emails that I get that are redundant because my kid's getting the same one.
Yeah.
And you listen to some of the questions, parents raising their hand on the first thing.
Oh my gosh.
And they're asking questions that I already know the answer to because she already did it.
Because you read it already.
Right.
Because you were doing what you were supposed to do as a parent.
But the thing is, I look at it this way. And young parents, this is what you want to get to. I look at it as, at this point, I cannot follow her to the campus in 2 months.
No.
And these parents who are like, where is my son going to stay and where is he going to make friends and how is he going to find like the cafeteria and who's going to get him pants when he gets a hole in them? And I sit there and think to myself, like, lady, in 2 months, you won't know when he has no pants on and he's doing a cake stand on the 6th floor of some apartment complex. You won't know.
He's going to call you up and about that.
Right, he's going to call you up and say he studied, but he didn't study. He was doing a cake stand, pantsless. That's what he was doing. Him and his idiot friends. That's what they were doing.
No way.
They were. He calls you on a Sunday. Guess what he was doing last night? Peeing in the bushes and hitting on women that he doesn't want to introduce you to. That's what he's doing.
That's your college experience.
That's your college. That was my college experience. So the thing is, like, I just hope that by the time they get to this age, that although I know they don't know everything,
of course,
they at least know enough. I've trained them.
Yes and yes.
So that when the moment happens where they have to use their heads, that dad voice is in there going, up, this will get you killed. Up, this will get you thrown out of school. Up, this is going to cause you problems in life. This is probably a mistake. Like, I just want that.
I think that's awesome.
Most parents, though, are like down there and they're all. So what was funny was I tell Dominic, we're not going to any of these things. And I walk out the door.
Okay.
I show him a quick tour of the campus. I get over to the bar because, of course, Murphy's Pub, for any of you who went to Illinois, great cheeseburgers. And it still has the same decor and music playing in it that it did back in the 90s when I was there. And I walk in and it's all alumni parents. It's all the parents who are like,
knew better.
I'm not going on this
Y'all
stupid
knew
tour.
better.
Right, exactly.
Smart.
And I feel like I know better with packing my kid.
Okay.
What tips would you give, if not to the parents, to the student who may be listening as well?
Yes and yes.
Like I have half of mine just to send her down there by her own, but I'm like, I should go down, see her off. So I'm going to go down and see her off. And then just pray. That's all I'm going to do.
That's what we have to do.
You pray, you look them in the eye, and you go, don't screw up, and you walk away. I'm working on my speech for the 2-hour car ride down. My last words of wisdom. But anyway, what would you tell somebody is essential here in the next couple of months?
I got you. Okay, so I do have 3 sons. We were actually just talking about some of this yesterday at like Father's Day breakfast.
Not the standing on top of keg part. They left that part out, Colleen. They did. They left that out. Yeah.
I didn't do keg stands. No. And there were no photos. Because it was
true.
So there's no
a photo of me. You had to use a disposable camera.
Yes, thank goodness. There's not photographic evidence. Just saying. So I had to laugh because my middle came home for a couple months between theater bookings he's doing a local one, and the same storage containers that we bought him before he went away to college, he's still using.
Okay.
So they were like stackable cubes, like plastic stackable cubes, and the like cloth drawer kind of thing.
Essentially things that it's packed in, but it is something he's going to keep out. So you're saying like those plastic drawers, good way to pack it, just bring in the whole thing, all the clothes are there, just leave them there.
Tape the whole darn thing up.
Tape the whole thing up and pack it up like that.
So we didn't use those necessarily, but the same one who just moved home for, like I said, a local theater gig for the next 2 months, he's got the same bedside table with drawers that we moved him in to Indiana University 7 years ago.
I'm thinking a roller trunk that can be locked as well. Because they got to have something they can lock up their stuff if they want to. They do.
So both,
I told you, your roommate may be a wonderful person, but her friends may steal. So I was like, you need to have something that you can lock inside the room.
There are things that your student may need to have, locked up. So maybe ID, maybe medications, maybe things like that. We don't have a roller trunk, but we do have a personal safe. He does have a personal safe. So storage that can be converted into other things. We, got like ottomans, those little storage ottomans that can fold flat when you're not using them. And then they're seating and storage when you do need them. I know. I'm just telling you. So like multiple. So that lockable trunk, that's also sounds like a chair to me, right? So things like that. We did. We're all about the storage. We're kind of dorks. My poor kids, I have brainwashed them over years, I guess. But so having like storage that they decided on themselves, and they still use it to pack stuff up and bring it home.
When you went down for the first time, did you go down with everything?
No.
Or did you go down and say, this is what I know you need to bring. And then we're going to get a good look at it. And then I'm taking you up the street to such and such. Like, I'm sure there's something in town if I need to outfit you with something.
Like a Target
or I can send it to you or whatever
that.
Yeah.
So, one of my sons, we got there and he had his own bathroom, but there was no shower curtain. And that was not on the move-in list. Okay, looks like we need to go buy a shower curtain. They do what we found out freshman year from the youngest, pack pants. He's like, I'll be home again before I need long pants.
No, pack for the winter.
Right? So no, I didn't. It wasn't all of it. But there was cold days in September and I was shipping him jeans because he's like, oh, I don't need those. It's hot on move-in day. But he needed them before we were back down to visit. There were things that we did have to ship. There are so many things that you're right. She absolutely doesn't need. I have to date me here. Sound like a sound system speaker, right?
She doesn't need that.
No,
she's like, I'm bringing. She's like, I'm bringing my.
the phone.
Oh, she's bringing her AirPods, her phone, and her Alexa.
Done.
Hey Alexa, play.
Right?
Noah Khan. That's the guy right now. They're all listening
I
to.
met my husband in college, and he had like speakers the size of a mini
That's
fridge.
what I had.
Right? Everybody did.
I had them where you separated the speakers so you can set them up around the
and it
room.
was
And oh
cool,
yeah.
Right?
Now
And
none of that.
They have it. It fits in their pocket.
Yeah, they don't care.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's gonna be
But
real easy.
They have computers. We didn't have. Again, dating myself here. Like we used the campus one.
I had a word
like
processor.
I know, right?
My mother and father couldn't afford a
I
laptop.
had an electric typewriter.
So that's what I had basically. I had an electric typewriter.
Oh.
It printed out in dot matrix. My roommate hated that. It was so
this
loud.
Part, Chris. I'm just saying.
We're old, Colleen.
I'm embarrassed
We're
for
old.
myself
Proof that
now.
we're old.
Oh my gosh.
It's the EP Podcast. All things Evergreen Park. It's the EP Podcast. Evergreen Park.